Hello everybody, I'm back. First things first, you may recognize this is not my normal setup. You'll say, Maya, this is not your normal setup. Longtime fans will know that this is not my home that I'm in currently. I'm in a hotel currently for my job. And I'm covering up in a peculiar way because I don't want anyone to see the logo on my shirt because I don't want to get fired from my job. I thought I would do a little tier list of like the top 100 movies. I'm not going to do 100 of them because that's way too many, but I'll do like I'll do the first 20 that's on the list that I have. So this is the article that I am pulling from, by the way. If you want to check it out, it's by Time Out. So the first one on our list today is 2001: A Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick. So I have seen 2001: A Space Odyssey. I guess it's one of those classics. Good, sure. It was pretty boring at points, though. We have to be honest with ourselves. This movie was way too long, and I think that's because Stanley Kubrick is a bit of a joke from what I've heard. I'm gonna take a screenshot. I'm gonna take a screenshot and I'm not even gonna edit it because we're rocking and rolling. You know, I have time for this kind of thing. What would I rate it? I don't think Stanley Kubrick is a very good person. So, and I mean, it was a boring movie. I know if it's like, you know, revolutionary, whatever, and it has had a cultural impact. But for my personal liking, see, I don't care. And they say the greatest film ever made for 2001: A Space Odyssey. 2001 was the year I was born. If Stanley Kubrick knew that space travel was going to be invented by 2001, how come he didn't warn us about 9/11? Okay, The Godfather, number 2, classic film bro kind of film. I do like The Godfather. I don't know if that makes me a joke, but I really like the first Godfather. The second Godfather is good too. I haven't seen the third one, though I've heard it's poo-poo garbage. Am I gonna put The Godfather? Honestly, I'll probably put it in S tier. Can't lie. I like it because I used to have a thing for Al Pacino, but then I heard Al Pacino is also a terrible person and he also can't act anymore. So anything past The Godfather, Al Pacino is not a good actor in. I saw that movie that he was in with Robert De Niro, whatever that movie's called, and that's supposed to be like one of the greatest movies, and that movie sucks balls, dude. That movie is not good at all. It's not like... It's poorly acted. The one where Al Pacino says, "She's got a great ass." That one, it's stupid. And everything I've seen him in past The Godfather, he's like way overacting and he's an annoying man. And I also heard that on the set of, what's the one he did with Meryl Streep? Kramer versus Kramer, is that what it is? That he like actually choked her. And I don't have any respect for, you know, those creative geniuses, men who say they need to get into character and they need to be a bad person. I say, hey, man, learn how to act, perhaps. Al Pacino didn't make the movie. I also know that, what's his name? Coppola isn't a good person either, as we know from Megalopolis.
The riches of my Emersonian mind.
Entitles me?
Yes.
Entitles me?
Yes.
Entitles me?
Yes. You find me cruel, selfish, and unfeeling? I am. I work without caring what happens to either of us. So go back to the club.
But I don't know, something about The Godfather. I know my dad loves The Godfather too, so maybe it's just like kind of sentimental to me. I love mob stuff. I like the mafia, and I like crime. I love crime. Okay, Citizen Kane. I have seen Citizen Kane. I watched this like my first semester as a film student. I was like, wow, this movie's so good, and I made my family watch it. And then as I watched it with my family, I realized it was a really boring movie. And my parents were like, we hate this movie. My parents are such haters, and they're like, we hate this movie. So, where would I put Citizen Kane? I really enjoyed it the first watch around because I appreciated like all of the, I guess, things that I was learning about in a film class, and to like see it played out in a movie, and for it to be like the first movie of its kind and to inspire like how film has been made after it is impressive. And I really, the message kind of sticks with me that like, you know, you can have everything and be unhappy because you're just kind of, there's like something kind of rotten in you that you haven't fixed. And not to be like weird, but I enjoy movies that kind of examine how people like the way that you're raised affects who you are, but you can choose to be a better person. But he didn't choose to be a better person, rotten to everyone around him, and he kind of like created his own misery. So yeah, it was good. I'm talking about it in a much more positive light than where I'm gonna put it. I'm putting it in B tier because it was boring, but I like it. Orson Welles seems like a cool guy, so I've heard. But I also heard that from watching Mank, the movie on Netflix, that he kind of stole the credit for that movie, so I don't know. Number 4 is called Gine Delman 23, Guayducamos 1080 Brussels. Never seen it, so we're just gonna scooch right past that. Raiders of the Lost Ark, S tier. I love Indiana Jones, love Harrison Ford, what a hunk. I have just like a personal connection to Raiders of the Lost Ark from like when I was a kid, and my brother used to really like Indiana Jones, but I just like the simplicity of it almost, and it's one of the early Indiana Jones films before it gets racist, I think. Though my favorite Indiana Jones film is the one with his dad where they're fighting the Nazis, the Holy Grail. That one's good. That one eats scrumptious. Give me more, give me seconds. La Dolce Vita. I have never seen La Dolce Vita, but I'm still gonna rate it because I don't care. I think La Dolce Vita is where the term paparazzi comes from. I think it also has a scene with, it's like one of the first movies that have a scene with a woman having an orgasm. Crazy. So I don't care, I'm gonna rate it. Let's put it in, just because I haven't seen it and I don't know if it's actually good, we're gonna put it in C. The Seven Samurai, I haven't seen it, gotta skip, though I've heard of it. In the Mood for Love, I have seen In the Mood for Love. Here's my beef with this movie. Film people go crazy for this movie, and this movie and Before Sunrise, I watched them with my ex-boyfriend, and we were both just like, these movies were not that good. Like, I don't get why people go crazy over these. They're like, I don't know, movie person pilled, I feel. It is very like, it does grip ya. It's very like slow and, you know, kind of painful, because you get attached to these people. And maybe, I don't know, maybe if I watched it by myself, like maybe if I watched it in a different point in my life, I would like it more. But as far as like romance movies go, it's just kind of slow. I mean, I know that's like the point, and it's supposed to be like artful, and you're supposed to kind of just, you know, you're supposed to just get hints without them outright saying anything. But, you know, it didn't make me cry, and I cry over everything. I cry over Paddington 2. So, In the Mood for Love, honestly, C tier, sorry. Didn't like that much, overrated. There Will Be Blood, haven't seen, sorry. You'll be surprised how many movies I have not seen, and I've seen random ass movies. Goodfellas, I like Goodfellas a lot. Big fan of Goodfellas. Right up there with The Godfather. I just like mob movies. A lot of iconic quotable lines. A tier. I'm like always entertained by it when I watch it too. Love the music in it, and you know, there's that iconic scene of where they're walking through the kitchen and the camera's moving with them, and we watched that in one of my film classes. Now you're gonna find that I have what some people may call bad opinions. North by Northwest, haven't seen, sorry. Mulholland Drive, I have seen Mulholland Drive. This was another one that I watched with my ex-boyfriend, and this is another one where like film people go crazy for Mulholland Drive. But if we're being completely honest with ourselves, it's boring for most of the movie. David Lynch. I know David Lynch is very experimental, and the whole point of Mulholland Drive is like the acting is bad for the most part, because it's supposed to be the main character wants to be an actor, and it's like her kind of movie in her brain because she's a bad person. I won't spoil it in case you haven't seen it. You should watch it. Like it's very interesting, and from like a film person's point of view, like I really appreciate and enjoy what was going on, and it was very unsettling and creepy, and I do like that. Like scenes from this movie have stuck with me, and I've only seen it once, and it was like years ago, so it is good in that aspect. But from a viewer aspect, it's so long. All of these filmmakers make the longest movie in the world because they think that they're geniuses, and I'm like, okay, when's it gonna get good though? Or like, you could have done this in hour 45 and we would have the same message. Like, sorry, you're not that good of a filmmaker. You're not that good. Speed it up. Let's get to the point. So yeah, the ending was great, but it took way too long to get there. Okay, way too long to get there. So I'm gonna rate it C tier. C tier. And you know, it was a really interesting concept. I love the story, but we could have sped it up a bit. The Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan. Now, I am a Christopher Nolan hater, certified hater. You know my views on Oppenheimer, but Dark Knight's good. It's just a classic, you know, what can I say? I'm literally Batman. That's what I have to say about it. And it's just it might be because like I saw it when I was a kid, but I just think it's like it stands the test of time. It's not like previous Batman movies where it's like corny and weird. It's like genuinely a good movie. There are like corny parts of the movie, like when Two-Face turns over and the Joker's in the hospital and he's wearing a little nurse's uniform. He's like, oh, it's a nurse, and then he takes off and he says, oh, it's the Joker. City Lights. Have I seen this one? If this is the one, and I could be completely talking about the wrong movie, but if this is the one where he's like in, I don't know, Alaska or Antarctica or something, someplace cold, and he's in that cabin for a short period of time. I liked it. I thought it was funny. Charlie Chaplin's not a good person though, as with most filmmakers, unfortunately. And you know, maybe I'll make a video on like separating the art from the artist, but I do have opinions. But yeah, Charlie Chaplin like married a 14-year-old who was his cousin or something. So B tier. You know, His Girl Friday I have seen. I saw it in a romantic comedy class. I would love to do a video on romantic comedy and the history of romantic comedy because it's fascinating. This is another one of those like not like other girl things where I was very anti-romantic comedy for a long time, and I had to take a class on it because it was like one of the only classes that like had space and I needed to take it. Romantic comedy is like how we kind of gauge what's going on in society. It is one of those films where like it was after World War II ended, I believe. Let me see when the movie came out just to make sure. No, it was in the middle of World War II. So there is like this phenomenon in film, because film always reflects society even if it's not trying to. In romantic comedy especially, kind of reflects our views on men's roles and women's roles, and like how relationships should be. So His Girl Friday is a good example of this because she is an independent woman. She's got divorced and she is a journalist, but the movie is like, well, women can't really live like that, so she has to fall in love with her ex-husband again and want to return to like womanhood. So there is this kind of phenomenon in romantic comedies where in the 40s and in this kind of time period after wars or in the middle of like very tense times in America, where women are gaining more power and men are feeling like a little powerless, and like, or women's rights are expanded, it's kind of reflected in film where men like almost retaliate. So for example, the main character in His Girl Friday, she wears like big shoulder pads, she wears like very dark clothing. She's very independent. She goes after her own thing, but that is to her detriment because her place is to be a man's wife and to be more feminine and soft and loving and not care so much about her job and care more about her man. You know what I'm saying? I'd love to do a video on this so I can explain more. But basically, that's my thoughts. So to me, it's fascinating because I love just like what it means to me in my brain. But the film itself, you know, it's good. Sure. I mean, they're all pretty good movies. The Red Shoes, haven't seen, sorry. Vertigo, I haven't seen Vertigo, but I've seen other Hitchcock films. Alfred Hitchcock, bad person. Believe it or not, bad person. Jaws is good. Love this guy. This guy and this guy. I love a little nerdy man with glasses who wears a nice sweater because he looks so cozy, and I just want to. Oh, I want to hug him and take care of him. Spielberg, Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg has this thing in his films where it's always like one man or one boy on a quest of something that's like very like much bigger than him. And you know, Steven Spielberg is a good filmmaker. Obviously, Jaws was the first of its kind, iconic, and you know, it was a good movie. It's not one of my favorite movies. I'm not seeing any of my favorite movies on here. I don't think my favorite movies are like in the top 100 because the people who make these top 100 lists are pretentious film people. But I'll put Jaws in B tier. I don't care. The 400 Blows, I don't think I have seen, but it's referenced in so many things that I had to study. Francois Truffaut and Jean-Luc Goddard, I think, are the most annoying, pretentious filmmakers of our lives. And French film from back in the 60s in general is just like very misogynistic to me, and it's just so annoying. It's just like a guy who's too cool for school and he treats women badly, and women are just hot and they're evil. And that's what a lot of those French films are, from like the kind of classic cinema verite era. And yeah, none of it impresses me. If you ever meet a man who really likes Jean-Luc Goddard or Francois Truffaut, run away. He's a bad person. Star Wars, the first Star Wars is good. I know George Lucas can't actually write, so his wife had to write most of it, just so everybody knows that information. Harrison Ford, can't be mad at him. I'll put Mr. Harrison in B tier. It's a classic. I would obviously watch it again. Pulp Fiction I do actually like. Quentin Tarantino, bad person. Quentin Tarantino is one of those directors, like, it really annoys me that I like his films because he's truly seems just like impossible to be around. I would never want to be around this man or have a conversation with him because he's probably the most annoying person in the world. But that being said, I do like Pulp Fiction. My favorite scene is when Christopher Walken's character comes back from the war and he tells young Bruce Willis's character that he hid his father's watch in his asshole so that he could give it to him. That's good. That's just good writing. If we're being real, that's just good writing. But yes, Pulp Fiction, in my opinion, is very well written. Quentin Tarantino is great at writing dialogue. It's very funny. And I really love how, you know, I love how the editing is like not continuous at all. And a friend of mine, their dad, told me that when he went to go see the film for the first time, he genuinely thought like they put the reels in wrong because it was back in the day when it wasn't digitized. And he was like, they like put the reels in out of order. I don't know if they knew that. Truman Show. Oh, I love the Truman Show. Now, my friends make fun of me because I think Jim Carrey genuinely is a good actor. I would love to meet him. He seems like a cool guy, but I hate his like comedy movies. He is just, his brand of comedy is just not funny to me at all. It's just irritating. So I hate The Mask. I hate the live action Grinch movie, but I truly respect him as a person because I've seen him in The Truman Show and I've seen him in Eternal Sunshine, and he is a fabulous actor. And whenever I hear him talk in interviews, he just seems very insightful and very wise and genuinely like a very nice person. I would love to meet him one day. Truman Show made me cry. It's just, you know, it's one of those movies where like I think all people are kind of like searching for meaning and supposed to live a certain life, and he realizes he needs to make his own destiny, and that's a beautiful story. So Truman Show's going in S tier. S tier. Lawrence of Arabia, this is another one, don't care to rate it. Don't care. Racist, so I don't care. It's probably boring as hell too. Psycho, I've seen Psycho. Psycho is of course a classic. It made everybody giggle in my film class when we watched it, and there's the scene at the end where the doctor is explaining like what's wrong with Norman Bates, and you know, it's old. It's not PC, and obviously it's pretty messed up to trans people. I really want to talk about Psycho and compare it to like Silence of the Lambs and also Longlegs. The scene where the doctor is explaining what's wrong with Norman Bates, and I think someone's like, so he's trans, and the doctor says yes and no like very dramatically. And so I thought it was silly. Psycho was good though. I'll put it in a B tier. It was good. I would watch it again. Chinatown I have seen. Now, Chinatown was a good movie. Jack Nicholson is honestly a great actor. I've really enjoyed the movies that I've seen with Jack Nicholson in it. And, but I've heard he's a bad person, and Roman Polanski is a bad person, and he and Roman Polanski were in cahoots when Roman Polanski had to flee the country. Why don't you look up why Roman Polanski can't come back to America and get back to me? Funny story about Roman Polanski. We watched Chinatown in one of my film classes, and after we finished, this girl raised her hand and she's like, I think it's ironic how in the movie he talks about the main character, I don't remember who plays him, the evil guy character, his daughter when she was only 14, and so a line that is said is she says, I was only 14, and that's kind of ironic because Roman Polanski is accused of sexually assaulting a girl when she was only like 14 or 15. And my professor, I love the guy, but I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, why would you say this? But he was like, listen, Roman Polanski's family went through the Holocaust. His wife, Sharon Tate, was killed by the Manson family. He's gone through some things. I'm like, okay, that's not not a good excuse, though. But Chinatown was masterfully made. I have to be honest with you. It was shocking. It was very good. It's A tier for me. Very good film. Lost in Translation, I have seen Sofia Coppola. I have seen some of her other works, which are very good. Lost in Translation is good. I don't hate it by any means, but it bothers me that Scarlett Johansson was only like 17 when she made the film, and the film opens on a close-up of her like nude butt. That's weird. Age gap is weird. I read an interview where Sofia Coppola said like she didn't even think about the age gap thing. It was just, you know, it's just a story of people kind of feeling lost, and I think it's like it really means something when you watch the movie and you know what was going on in Sofia Coppola's life, because she was Scarlett Johansson's character basically. In real life, she was, you know, you can love somebody but things are not working out, and it's very painful to understand that you're lonely in your relationship and you're looking for love and support from somebody else, even if it's not really like romantic. You're still looking for affection. So I love that idea, and there were points in the movie that were very beautifully done. I think about this scene all the time where Scarlett Johansson's walking around Japan and exploring, and she sees the little tea ceremony. That makes me want to go to Japan. But overall, the movie is, you know, a tad on the non-PC side, and, you know, just a little bit overrated in my opinion. No, actually, that's not true. I don't think it's overrated. I think it's a pretty good film. I would put it actually right where it is, rated at number 44. I think that's accurate. It's influential, and it's a very well made film, and I think about it often. Taxi Driver, love this movie. Because it explains, it's very interesting that it was back in 1976 when this film came out, and you can relate it so much to like hyper masculine, savior dude bros of today. You know what I'm saying? Like the YouTube, Instagram, TikTok podcast guys of today who think that they are allowed to be mean to women and that certain women are angelic, and it's, the Madonna whore thing. And he's just genuinely, Travis in Taxi Driver is genuinely a very bad person, and just like in real life, he's a bad person who thinks he's like on this holy mission. So all these like conspiracy theorists, dude bro guys, I mean, you need to watch Taxi Driver and realize you are him and nobody likes you. Of course, it's iconic. You talking to me? Talking to me? It's an iconic movie, but it's one of these movies like I can compare a lot of real life to this movie, and it's just such a poignant example of like, it like kind of hits you as like almost cathartic when you watch and you're like, yeah, this is exactly like something that I've seen in real life, which is scary because this kind of person's out there. They think they're a hero. They think they're saving, Jodie Foster, and really they're just not a good person, and they're hateful and racist and evil. Spirited Away is good. I remember for some reason when I watched it the first time, I liked My Neighbor Totoro better, but I don't think I would have that opinion today because I saw like the majority of it again recently. And Spirited Away is a very beautiful movie. Honestly, I'll put it in S tier. It's pretty iconic. Miyazaki, love his work with Studio Ghibli. It's just very sweet. It always touches on like doing the right thing, caring about others, and it's not like Disney. It's like elevated, no offense. But I do love Disney movie. But yeah, I quite like Spirited Away. Because I looked it up once about the spirits that are in the film, and if they're based on like real Japanese folklore or like spirits or beliefs, and a lot of them are, and I just thought it was really cool to like learn about each of the spirits. Night of the Living Dead, I do like this movie. I've seen it a couple times now. So Night of the Living Dead, I had to write a paper on it my freshman year of college, and people always say it invented the zombie movie, and in the movie they call them ghouls, not zombies, because they didn't really quite have that word yet, which I think is funny. It has a black main character. I believe that this movie came out the same year that MLK was killed, and I don't remember the exact like time frame of like when it was killed out in relation to MLK's death, but it is just, it kind of like touches on, even if it wasn't intentional, that like even when a black man is absolutely correct, white people will still be like, he's a danger and we can't trust him, and I know what I'm doing and I don't need to listen to this guy. And in a microcosm example of just a few people that are trapped in a house of like what America was like in the 1960s, the late 1960s, especially because, I think the 60s is just a fascinating time. It's my favorite time for films because so much was going on in the world that you couldn't help but reflect it in your films. It's campy and funny. Like, if you haven't seen it, you should really watch it with your friends. Like, it's kind of silly. Get a little bit drunk, get a little bit toasty when you're watching it, okay? Breathless. I have seen Breathless. This is the Jean-Luc Goddard film that made me think, oh, he's just an asshole. It has the classic, like, beautiful woman, oh, I'm a cool guy smoking a cigarette and I'm French, and sorry to the French people, but I don't care. D tier, first D tier. It's overrated, it's annoying, it's pretentious. Sure, it was important for filmmaking, and I can understand that and appreciate that, but I still think the movie is dumb. Dr. Strangelove, I haven't seen this, and I really, really want to, because I'm all about atomic warfare. And I am just fascinated by that era in history. And I have seen some other really good films about kind of like the atomic era and just the paranoia that kind of brought along. And I am fascinated by the movie. I haven't seen it. Blade Runner. I have seen Blade Runner. Harrison Ford's character sees the robot lady and he's like, I know you want to have sex with me. You're saying you don't, but you do. And he saves her, and it's a good film. I would probably watch it again. The Bitter Tears of Petra von Kant. Now, I have recently seen this. Good movie. You know, as with a lot of films in this era, in the 70s, it doesn't paint the gay woman as evil. She's complicated, and the filmmaker who wrote this one, I was reading a book about it, actually, not about the whole film, but just it was like a gay cinema book. It discussed how the director of this film based it on his own life, and like he was Petra, and like he's like, yes, I've done honestly like bad things. I'm not a very good person. I'm gonna put it for this tier list, I'll put it an S, even though in my normal everyday life it wouldn't be an S tier. But it's based on his life, and like it's very self-reflexive, which I love. A self-reflexive film about like I have been a bad person because I just wanted love and affection from one particular person so bad that I treated everybody else around me like crap, and I didn't care about the people who cared about me. And you know, I've been a fool. Honestly, I've just been a fool, and I like it. It's a good film. Everybody should watch it. It's very good. I'm just gonna scroll through and find one that I want to rate. Robot City, Nosferatu. I watched Nosferatu in one of my early film classes, and man, that film is boring. And I know it's old. I expected it to just be like a lot cooler. Man, that movie is boring. But Nosferatu looks really goofy and funny, so I like that. And you know, I remember like watching it in SpongeBob, so I was kind of excited to see it, and it was just, man, it was boring. Impact Mountain is a great film. Just so you know, I'd probably put it in like A. Very sweet. It's very memeable now. Duck Soup, haven't seen. Blair Witch Project was overrated. Okay, well, that's not true. For the time, it was fascinating, and I'm sure it was very scary. But for me now, boring. Boring. Don't care. All the President's Men I do like. It's got Mr. Pacino in there. No, it's got what's his name in it? The guy from The Graduate, which I love that movie, by the way. Probably S tier. I really like that movie. I love paranoia films, and I love Pacula's paranoia trilogy. Eternal Sunshine. Okay, I will rate this one. Oh my god, guys, this movie, you just cry like a baby. Beautiful film. Everybody should see this movie. This is going to be an S tier in my final rating for the day. It just explores how painful it is to go through a breakup, how painful it is to love somebody but you know that you just don't work out, and how you wish you could just forget and start all over again and just, you know, enjoy the good times. And that even though memories are painful, they're important to keep in your brain, because, you know, as people say, like, it's better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. I made that up just now. Every painful thing that happens in your life has a purpose. It means something to you, and even if somebody's not in your life, they still had a meaning and a purpose in your life. That's my tier list rating for now. Maybe I'll do another one of these. I just have to go to a meeting, so I have to leave. But thank you for joining me today. And yeah, this has been Certified Yapper. Talks about the top 100 movies of all time and whether or not they're actually good. Choose to like or dislike based on what I have said here today. Thank you. So thank you for joining me. See you soon. Bye bye.